listening to Supplement Source, the official podcast of the Council for Responsible Nutrition. And now your host, Jeff Ventura.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Supplement Source. I am Jeff Ventura, the Vice President of Communications here at the Council for Responsible Nutrition, and I am delighted today to have Elan Sudberg from Alkemist Labs, CEO of Alkemist, with us today. We are going to be talking about the industry's safety record, and I'm going to let you kick it off, Elan. I know you have some thoughts I'd love to kind of get into with you.
Perfect. Well, first, Jeff, thank you for having me, and thank you for CRN putting this on. I'll start with the fact that I should have stayed a business marketing major in college. I probably would have graduated many years earlier, but I had to go through my chemistry degree to do what I do now. And so I have a chemistry degree, but a love for business and marketing. And I have, since the beginning of my time in this industry, been surprised at how little our industry markets our quality. We are sort of plagued with this misinformation that we are unregulated, that we are
something we're working on here, continue to work on.
Greatly appreciated. The other one is that we are unsafe, which is completely false, and that we are untested, which goes to the regulations, but that's also false because I'm still here running this company 28 years later, which is testing all the plants and fungus in this industry. So constantly surprised that this industry doesn't do a better job of capitalizing on that spend. That's basically my soapbox moment right there.
Why do you think that is? Because I have to say that one of the issues that we've been looking at is the the sort of notion that we are regulated. And you're right. I mean, in the 2 years that I've been at CRN, that has been an unbelievably, it's a recurrent theme in mainstream and not trade press, of course, but in mainstream media, certainly, that as if the FDA is not even in existence. I mean, oftentimes they'll just say that we're completely not regulated, and we have to remind them. And we've been doing like whack-a-mole, contacting reporters, after we see this kind of misinformation and correcting it. But what do you think it takes to sort of reverse that? Is it just money and marketing?
Yeah. It's going to take money, and no, it's not going to be a lot of money, because here's the thing: this industry already spends a lot of money on quality. And I can speak for my own data as CEO of Alkemist Labs, and when I go visit a client's facility, and I won't name names, but a couple years back, I visited one of the biggest players in this industry, a global company, tens of thousands of employees, a humongous footprint on products that span from, fitness to just basic supplements and vitamins. And I toured their facility, and they were very excited to show me their amazing lab, and they're very excited to show all the, state-of-the-art equipment. And I asked a question, what do you spend on testing your products, or the ingredients that go in this product? And they were very excited to share millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I then asked a loaded question like, what's your lab staff like? What's your quality control staff? They were very excited to show how big their staff was. And then I asked this question, and they fell into my trap, like, well, what are you doing to share that with the consumer? And their answer was nothing. It was crickets. And still to date, that company has very, very little sharing of that quality story. My point is that if I suddenly asked everyone to do the testing that weren't doing testing, well, you're going to spend a lot of extra money you weren't spending last year, and the CFO is going to get excited, and the accounting department's going to try to fire people and all this whatever. But the fact is, the industry, for the most part, is already spending that money. We're just not talking about it. So the spend to correct this, to your question, is not a lot. It's really, adjust some of your marketing campaigns, tell a little bit more of the quality story. Our industry is sort of plagued with this misinformation that we're not tested, not safe, not regulated. But the fact is, we are, and the data's already there. You just have to tweak the marketing campaigns. And I think perhaps I have this phrase that I like to use instead of reference material, it's marketing material, marketing compounds. The marketing people in this industry like to, attach to something and market that, whether it's a reference standard, sort of the magic bullet that's the active ingredient that we don't talk about in this industry because we really can't. So they spend a lot of money trying to almost mimic pharmaceutical products without actually saying that the product does something, or there's a thing in the product that does something. But we dance around that. Perhaps we need to dance around the fact that we have an amazing safety record. I'm reminded of a slide that our friends at Safety Recall, Rick Kingston, shared some years ago, showed a pie chart of all of the recalls for FDA-regulated categories. Veterinary products, food, drugs, medical devices, dietary supplements. And the dietary supplement slice of the pie was 2% of that entire pie was 2%. And then on top of that, 50% of that 2%, so only 1% was actually drugs mimicking herbs. So we have 1% of the entire FDA pie chart of recalled things from our industry. The fact is we have an amazing arena with not alternative medicine, original medicine, and this industry needs to tell the story of quality. They're spending the money, might as well capitalize on it.
Listen, since you're not shy, let's talk a little bit about the political climate that we find ourselves in today as it relates to what we're talking about. Is there an opportunity now to do some of the stuff that maybe the industry would have been reluctant to do earlier? Sure. And how do you feel about that?
So it's no secret that I'm a fan of RFK's. And that I know already that's controversial, and his boss is controversial, and everything's controversial. But I found affinity for his movements long before he was working for our current president. Now you put that aside, he is where he is now, and the president is who he is now, and a lot of interesting moves have been made recently. Food dyes and a lot of other things. The questions have been like, well, why isn't he coming for lead and chamomile and this and that? And I'll circle back. We have an amazing safety record. RFK is not worried about our industry. He's worried about potentially poisonous food dyes and unsafe drugs. Our industry is amazing and doesn't need his help right now. There's some, of course, we've put, all the trade association leaders have put together really great wish lists that have been shared with RFK and his team about what we want from him and them. One example would be dietary supplements are not accepted by food stamps because the food stamp people think that we're drugs. Dietary supplements are not acceptable for health and savings accounts because the health and savings folks are calling us foods, right? So it's like they're both conflicting, and if we just tweak those rules, we would be able to use, as a country, use those funds to buy really, there's no question where vitamins are important. We're not disputing this anymore. The people need them, and they could be given access if they change those rules. So that's one thing we were hoping you would get. But to circle back, our industry is amazing. It's the safest of all the FDA regulated things. So what's happening right now is, no, they're not looking at us too much. They're looking at changing food, making drugs more safe, better tested. And as a result, people are kind of confused about where's our champion now? He's pretty busy with really, really important things that are in fact hurting people.
When you talk about, the marketing of this notion of safety, and, that the industry's got such a great track record, so much has changed in the way things get marketed. 20 years ago, it would have been a magazine ad or a national, ad buy on one of the three major networks, now with media. So, even social media, like where do you even begin to do your advertising, right? And yet there's an opportunity there too, in terms of influencers, really kind of getting the word out in kind of creative ways. How do you feel about that in terms of, like, if you had $20 million to spend on a campaign around, the supplement industry's safety record, where would you spend it?
It's a tough question because I'm sitting in the cynical camp right now where, I'm a guy who helped build this company from the ground up. I put 10 years of 16-hour days in the first 10 years, and we're getting up to almost year 30 now. And
because you're a real, not to interrupt you, but it's okay to interrupt you if I'm gonna give you a compliment. I mean, like, you're a savvy marketer. I mean, you know your social media, your logo is incredible. I mean, you've done some really fabulous stuff. So, I mean, I ask this because I also, as a marketing person myself, see you as somebody who really understands this space.
Thank you. So I appreciate that. So that actually goes into what I was going to say next. Is I have trouble respecting these overnight influencers on various social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn most, a little bit Facebook, a little bit Instagram for personal stuff. I don't touch TikTok or Snapchat or whatever the other things that I'm sure there's others. I just don't want to contribute to people who are important that are really not important. They just have, good algorithms or something like that. That's not to say that they're not good people. I'm sure they're very good people, but it frustrates me when hardworking people put in years and years and years, and someone shows up with a cute face and a camera phone, overnight success. And where I'm going with is these are the people telling us what to buy, and I can sort of eat my own words there that, these are not health professionals giving us advice, but nor was the news during the pandemic. These are, I remember when news was, Peter Jennings and Ted Koppel reading what happened, not their opinions on what happens. And it's switched to this sort of everything's,
pundency.
Yeah, it's like, you're not experts. Read what the experts have told us. And so it's funny that that's now shifted into social media. So to your question, what would I do with all this money? I wouldn't pay social media influencers to hold up a product and say, here's what to buy it. But the fact is that might be super effective if our brands would say, here's our product. This is why you should take it. Oh, and here's the quality that we put in to make sure it is, in fact, what it says it is, and will, we have to be careful about saying effective. But if you confirm that it is what it is, you confirm that the quality is such, and you confirm that it's free of any pesticides and metals and what it's not supposed to be there, you're sort of indicating quality. I would tell our industry to double down on sharing CVAs, on changing their websites so customers can look up lot numbers, because they think this stuff's not real. They think it's not tested. They think it's not good. And they can very quickly find out if a brand was so inclined to have a lookup table on a website to show the CVAs. I'm going to circle back. This is data that they already paid for. These brands already have the CVAs. They should, right? They should. All we need to do is pay some web developer, which is now basically AI, to make the website so you can look up these things. So that's where my money would go to. I wouldn't pay social media influencers to brag about a thing, because these are just normal people who got some algorithms attention. They're not health experts.
And you make a good point too, just in terms of building up that sort of, it's important to create this sort of message of safety, I think. When you look at what happened in Japan, as an example, God forbid something like that were to happen here, with the red yeast rice, Kobayashi, when and if that were to happen, even on a smaller scale, you certainly want in place an overarching message that, for the most part, there's this tremendous, safety record, because
why not?
You don't want a disaster like that to suddenly define, everything, right?
Right.
Where people are only thinking about the safety of it when that safety has been called into question.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You want them thinking about it in advance of that, right?
So it's all, to me, it's all marketing, it's all communication, and the story has already been written. These companies, the best of our industry, have the story. It's in a drawer of a mid-level quality control professional, and it's gold. It's a gold mine waiting to be taken out and compared to the other brands who may not be able to say that, right? And this game of, what are the marketing differentiators in this industry? We can't say our products work more than anyone else's products. So it's branding, it's logos, it's celebrity endorsements, it's regenerative agriculture, it's organic, fair trade, all these are really important value propositions. But there's another one, it's quality. And there's not a lot of brands. And that's the most important thing, is quality, because that infers efficacy, which we can't say. Customers that.
And certainly the brands who, look, we know there are a lot of, supplement companies that maybe don't fall as squarely into the quality bucket as others, but the ones that do pay, to your point, for the research, do pay for the certification, do pay for the testing. Yeah, you're paying all this money. You might as well, have the ROI realized with regard to that as a value proposition in your branding.
I playfully play around with our finance department that what would it be like for brands to look at the P&L and see the cost that they spend to have these pesky little labs test all their stuff,
right?
In a cost of doing business, and move it into a marketing campaign, right? And the marketing people will be like, whoa, that's our budget. No, give them a bigger budget. Start talking about that, or at least somehow twist that so it's not a cost, it's an asset, because the quality is an asset, and proof of quality is an enormous asset that is just waiting to be unveiled.
Words of wisdom around a really intriguing and valid, I think, point about marketing quality and safety for our industry. Thank you very much for joining us today, Elan. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure, Jeff. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Take care.